That's in the past.
Oh, that's his phone systems. Yeah, those phone systems work great, don't they, Jim?
Yeah.
We got firemen that couldn't even answer them.
Hi.
Who's there?
That's true. I saw him today, yeah.
We're live.
Where do you want him, Debbie? It's your call.
Over there.
You know what, if you want to sit here again, because I'm going to go in the office. Scott will be sitting there.
Where is Scott?
Anthony usually sits right
He's
here.
coming down right now.
Alan, you mean?
Alan.
Here, Anthony.
We could put Alan front and
usually
center.
sits,
We're gonna be out by 7:15 for sure.
Hi, how are you?
See you guys in person.
Then we have to put the numbers down again.
You want to set up for next Monday at 5?
Yeah.
What's up, Scott?
Scott, how you doing?
Yeah, usually.
Been out of here like 10 minutes since 8 this morning.
It's a telling story.
Those out?
No, they narrowed it down. Actually,
So if you want to do just
Well, the first part maybe not.
the first 5 pages here, the 25, I don't think we need
yeah,
the
he did not want all.
chunk the stack everything else. We'll have it if anyone wants
Am I
it.
supposed to be up here?
I guess you don't.
You can if you don't. Yeah.
You can sit in the big boy chair.
What's it?
Oh, I'm not saying you be quiet, but me be quiet.
Well, we all need to
You
be
don't see
quiet.
my face that I'm talking to myself.
Yeah, that's okay.
You know, this thing's in there. Yes.
Or just do this.
The short version.
Yes, I've just, I mean, couple. Also on our YouTube and on the city TV station. I know we were having some difficulties for folks watching on Zoom trying to hear, so we'd ask that if you can use the second screen for YouTube or watch it on TV as well. It's better for sound quality for you. And but obviously, right, for any public comment or any of those wishing to speak at the end, Zoom is the method to do so. So I hope I stated that all clearly and good and all. But we will just get started. I'll turn it over to you, to Jim Wagner, our Economic Development Coordinator, to give us an update on a whole bunch of different things that he's working on.
Thank you, Mayor Zappa, members of the City Council. I'm going to do,
Is your microphone on, Jim?
Pop.
Is your microphone on? Oh, yeah.
you know what, I don't see it.
Try now.
Can you, hello?
No.
What about now?
Wondering if we
Hello?
need to call 911 out there, I don't know. I think there's a bunch of kids playing.
Is it unplugged, Debbie?
But they may have unplugged it
They
for
did.
the feedback last.
They did.
Yeah, that's
I
the
think it was
problem.
to do away with the feedback.
Call
last
electrician.
time around.
Which one?
Actually, you know what? It goes to the laptop.
I was gonna give him that.
Then this goes in here.
Jim, I'm gonna give you this microphone because that sometimes messes up.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yep. So Economic
Okay.
Development Coordinator and Electrician, Jim Wagner.
Yeah, thank you. If you would think I'm an electrician, we're going to be in big trouble, okay? Shocked, okay? Thank you, Mayor Zappa and members of the City Council. I appreciate the fact that you're giving me an opportunity to update you publicly. And I'll just go back a little bit about my job duties and what it is. This is a part-time position, but my duties and activities are to establish a professional relationship and maintain same on a regular basis to benefit the City of Trenton with the following: the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, Wayne County Development Department, Detroit Regional Chamber, Economic Growth Association, Downriver Community Conference, the Southern Wayne County Chamber of Commerce, the Detroit Regional Partnership, the U.S. Department of Commerce, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, the State of Michigan Eagle, which is the environmental, took place of MDEQ, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife, the Trenton Business Association, DTE Marketing and Business Retention Department, and the Port Authority of Wayne County, Detroit. Routinely, I set up appointments and confer with local businesses and industry management personnel to gain and share knowledge of retention and expansion requirements and issues, and those companies are Huron Valley Steel, Trenton Forging, Eastman Chemical, Chrysler, FCA, FTI, Crest Industries, Edward C. Levy Corporation, Kirkestra Precast, EC Corneffel, Miles Trucking, MSC Crown, Beaumont Hospital. To identify new business and potential opportunities through the site visits in order to identify opportunities and resources and other community connections in order to grow business of all types and sizes. And there are a number of vacant properties. You'll be surprised in the city of Trenton. Fort and King has 42 acres. That's owned by Mr. Dano, and immediately behind it there is another 10 acres. Edward C. Levy owns approximately 22 acres on the river, plus about another 30-some on King Road. Huron Valley Industrial Park has about 7.5 acres available, plus a couple of vacant buildings. Harrison and Fort, 3.2 acres. Elias property on West Jefferson has 16 acres. Riverside Hospital has 9.8 acres. Van Horn and Fort Street, the Morrison property, has about 3.2 acres, and West and West Jefferson, about 9 acres. I am to assume leadership and facilitation roles for the community and business retention and expansion plans, including assisting with financing, incentives, and workforce, serve as a single point of contact for economic development, startup attraction, retention, and expansion, coordinate with the mayor, the city administrator, city assessor, city engineer, and city attorney, routinely meet with businesses-focused organizations to build relationships and identify business support mechanisms, attend business and economic development events and training, participate in general planning sessions, committees related to economic development activities in the region, be visible in the community through speaking engagements, the newspaper, press releases, and administration, and attend social functions as necessary, attend and represent the City of Trenton on the DCC Brownfield Board, and develop and establish business relationships with industrial realtors and brokers. So that's briefly my job description. And I have had a number of communications with the mayor, and I think since he took over in November, suddenly, we have been able to have a couple of economic development meetings that we talked about. Been difficult times with COVID and with staffings changing at the state and not being able to meet in person. And so I believe there has been 2 previous quarterly or reports to the mayor, and tonight I'm going to refer to the one that I dated today's date. And there's approximately 25 items on there, and I'll try to go over them. I will say that today, particularly, I think Councilman Scott, I was on a meeting this morning with the Southern Wayne County Chamber of Commerce. This afternoon, I was at the Rotary, virtually again speaking about economic development. And so I've been trying to do that even though it's virtual, what's going on. MSC, I basically have not been deeply involved in that lately because of what's going on and waiting on the zoning to pass and the Planning Commission. But I'm sure in the past I was involved for 9 years. I think the only person that was more involved than myself was Brian Kelly from the Environmental Protection Agency. And I think things are going well as they demolish the site, and will move forward when the Planning Commission recommendation comes before your board. On Riverside Hospital, I believe Mr. Church has kept you appraised of that along with the city attorneys of what's going on that continues to drag along, but I hopefully am optimistic that something will happen in the next 90 days. I cross my fingers, my toes, and everything, because I think I said that 3 or 4 years ago, and I know I said that in 2014, that it was going to take a long time when we removed the brownfield agreement with them, which was very difficult. As the DT plant closing relates, which is item number 3, I meet on a bi-weekly basis with representatives of DT and economic development. They're assisting me to try to find places that are vacant land that we have, the Dano property, and to bring businesses into our community. Again, the COVID makes it very difficult. But I think the last time I talked to Kenneth Wooten, who has been assigned here on a full-time, was last Friday, and we'll meet again next Wednesday. We meet every bi-weekly on Wednesday, but there was an issue that he brought up last Friday and inquired, which was about Eastman Chemical, and I talked to them. West Road in West Jefferson, which is the property formerly called the Tower, Mr. Church, Mr. Ackerman, Mr. Hogan, and Mr. Diodano from ECT, and myself had a conference call with Eagle last week about the extent and the completion of that property, and I'm happy to report it appears that the cleanup is done and completed. That's 9/10 of an acre. Regrettably, I have to tell you that the cost was $596,000, of which all but about $20,000 was funded by the DCC. And so I believe Mr. Ackerman and I and Mr. Church and Mr. Hogan are going to try to meet next week with Mr. McNally to hopefully finalize that deal and hopefully see something happening with the site in the very near future, and hopefully we'll get a 3 to 5 story residential commercial building out of that.
So I'm going to have you pause on that now that we got to the end of that page just for a second, Jim, just to see if anyone has any questions on these first couple that he's run through. So, Councilman LaFever?
On the first one,
I think you need your mic on.
on the first issue, the Crown property down there,
Yes, sir.
as we get closer and nearing a vote, you're the economic development guy. I'd like to have you go on record what your idea of that property is or what should happen with it, okay? I mean, we've got some people aren't real sure how they're going to vote. I think your information and the rest of people who are much more knowledgeable than we are would be appreciated.
I'm welcome to give you my opinion. You can take it for what it's worth, okay? I've been involved in the site for 9 years. Previously, I was involved in BASF litigation in Wyandotte when I was the mayor there of the White Hills when I got sued about the environment, and also when they closed their Southworks and redid The Southworks and tore it down, and the reason there's no development there is because of the environment. They were afraid of what was going on, and that's why they made it a golf course, and they control that property from the city. They have a 50-year lease on the golf course, and they pump tens of thousands of gallons of contaminated water out of the site every day that they pay for, EQ. But the difference is between BASF and our site is we had a responsible party. As it relates to our site, I had 9 years experience on it. As you know, back in 2017, that was not my indication to the previous mayor or to the council members at that particular time, that I, with the help of our lobbyist and our legislative people, was able to get a $3.4 million loan. And I thought that we could pay the property off the taxing entities, which are the county and the school district, and do the property ourselves. In July of 2017, the Honorable Council and the mayor voted otherwise, and I understand that. From where I was then to today, I am ecstatic over the amount of cleanup that has gone on there, and Brian Kelly and I confer on a regular basis. We've all become almost brothers over this, but I'm ecstatic over the cleanup. The site has lots of legalities that the fact that the previous owner sold the property to the north end, that's partly in Trenton, the 40 acres, makes it very difficult. The fact that there was a railroad on there, that they gave them a perpetual easement, makes it very difficult. And I'll go back to 2004, when this was going to be a mixed use, and to clean it up, it required the bonding of support of the county and the city, and that did not go through because it was probably a bad decision. The agreement that has been fostered by the city council that supported this measure, and the county and the land bank, the people that currently own the property and that have with the EPA are doing, in my estimation, 110% more than it's expected of them. And I think it's amortizing the cost of what can go there. I would definitely love to have seen a mixed use or housing and all that stuff, but with a perpetual easement and the contamination on the site, and knowing we just went through the cost of just cleaning up 1 acre at $596,000, I can see why it's a difficult project and a difficult decision, that the people would like to see something otherwise. But as I said this morning, and Scott, would you please verify if I did this? I think somebody asked me the question at the chamber, that is this site a industrial site? And I think his name was Dennis, and I answered him, definitely, unless somebody comes up with $150 to $200 million. And I don't see that happening in today's economy. There were many people that were interested when I was the city administrator. And I think it's important, especially with losing DTE and losing Eastman, that we resolve the issue so that the people that currently own the property can go forward and administration can get something on the tax rolls for the site and provide jobs. So my personal thing from 3 years ago is that unfortunately, it's the best doable deal on the table.
Thank you.
Now, okay?
Councilwoman Butler.
Yeah, just regarding the West Road and West Jefferson project, I'm on the Economic Development Committee when you were trying to get money through the DCC to clean that site up, and you just outdid yourself, Jim, getting that money for them, because that was a site that we've wanted developed for a long time, and that would not have been possible had you not gotten that money for the city of Trenton. So I commend you. Every day that I talk to you about different developments, you know, worth your weight in gold for this city. And I just like to go on record publicly that the things on here that you do on a daily basis are unbelievable. So I really am glad about that corner, too.
Well, I thank you for that kind comments, but I have to say I'm thankful that the previous mayor and the current mayor and the city administrator kept me at the DCC. I'm chairman of the Brownfield, and this isn't Brownfield money, this is petroleum money.
Right.
Without being there and participating there, we wouldn't have gotten this money, and we got an additional $260,000 for the bowling alley also that's pending. So,
Right.
yes.
Yep, I know that, and I just wanted the public to know, because this is a lot of work, and it's just unbelievable to get the things that you've done for the city of Trenton. I hear it every month at the economic meetings, but a lot of people don't know all that you've done or do you do, so I'm just giving you some accolades tonight, Jim.
I'm happy to work for a wonderful group of elected officials, and I don't think you give yourself enough credit. Being an elected official at one time myself, the only reason this town is a success is because the 7 of you and the clerk and the treasurer and the assessor that sit up there and take this every day. I was there at one time, so I understand the stress that comes in, but I work for a wonderful group, and I appreciate the fact that you're giving me this opportunity.
Yep, thank you.
Did you have something, Councilman?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, I think my mic is on, if your $100 to $200 million cleanup referred to a residential development, or if that refers to a commercial development.
The additional money that I said over what they're spending refers to bringing up to residential standards.
Okay, thank you. I don't think most residents, I think we've gotten the reality that it probably won't be residential, so
Yes, ma'am.
I think being realistic about a commercial development might be more, we would need more information on that.
It's possible, but again, I'm not sure. Their agreement with the EPA and the county gives them a time frame and gives them is specific, and their agreement currently with those parties are for industrial, so it would have to be a change depending upon what happens in the future. And life changes every day, so yes. But yes, I'm sorry if I didn't make that clear, and I appreciate you clarifying that, yes. The additional money would be for making it acceptable to residential use.
Councilman LaFever?
Jim, on the West Road and West Jefferson property,
Yes, sir.
I read that agreement, the parking concerned me back there. I hope you're going to give away that parking for a few bucks back there.
I don't believe we're giving it away. I think we allowing them to utilize that property.
Right.
And they have an option if something were to change in 25 years.
Okay.
Okay? But the CBD does not require parking, and so we're allowing them to use a public parking for what they do on the site, plus bring some parking in on the site themselves. Okay?
Thank you.
All right? But we're not we can't, because the public safety is there, we couldn't give it to them anyway, unless something happened to the police and fire station, okay?
Okay.
Did anyone else have any questions on this first grouping? All right, we'll have you go through the next page. Thanks, Jim.
Okay, Fort and King, I would have to say that our two attorneys here that are present did an excellent job of us collecting back $400,000 that was owed to us due for differential, and it was approved by the Brownfield. In addition to that site, and that was a loan that we gave them a number of years ago. In addition to that, I have pending for the site so we can hopefully get it developed, because it's 42 acres with another 10 acres adjacent to it, a pending grant from the MEDC for site readiness. Unfortunately, our standing in the MEDC is a little difficult right now because we're trying to get redevelopment ready community done. And I did have a long conversation with them 3 times last week and today also. But I think we're moving in the right direction. And I think once the COVID and the budget is put together, I'm optimistic that we're going to get to $75,000 for us to promote that site, and with the MEDC, the regional partnership, and the county and ourselves, that it gets developed because it's prime property. It will now be all industrial, the 42 acres. Okay? Kirkster Precast, they originally didn't take $170,000. Virgil told me that when we did this deal a couple years ago. The building hadn't been inspected in 50 years, and so they're making they've made all those improvements. We continue to work with them. They're buying water. We found out there wasn't a water meter on there, and we worked together to collect for the water, okay? So they're looking for people. Unfortunately, the economy, not too many people are looking to get paid $15, $16 an hour when they can make $900 or $600 and some dollars on unemployment, but they're expanding and they're doing well there, and this is their second site. They don't refer to us as Trenton in their brochure. They refer to us as Detroit area, but they're located in Granville, and this is the third generation, and we have great working relationships. We put them with Mr. Corneffel, who does bridges, and so they're working together, and maybe they're making some bridges. Maybe they should have made the bridge for West Road, okay, but they're being successful at the site. Edward C. Levy owns 3 sites in the city of Trenton, down on the river at King Road. They're very optimistic with what's going on in the city. I'm not sure what they're going to do with their property once we do move forward and something happens at the site. But the other property, I'm working with them to sell to Kirkstra or to lease to Kirkstra, because Kirkstra needs additional property within the community. And Steve and I and Scott have met with him several times, have we not, Scott? And he's genuinely interested in our community, and I think that we'll get hopefully something out of them that helps Kirkstra moving forward. The St. Tim's property, was the property that we were going to discuss putting up a new community center, and that went nowhere. I was able to get the Archdiocese of Detroit, Mr. McInerney, from there to not accept our offer, but because it was a private entity, to negotiate a little higher deal with a private entity. But instead of 12 homes going on that property, we're now up to 21, because we're going to make a cul-de-sac coming right down Blaine Street and do it on both sides, and it's not impacted by the floodplain. And we're just waiting on the Archdiocese of Detroit. It has to go through 3 committees, but Father David and the Finance Committee and the St. Tim's Board have approved it, and so we're just waiting for that to come on. In the last month, I finally had 2 meetings with the owner of Animal Crackers. I had somebody that was interested in the site. I brought them together. And then after the interest was noted by the owner, I think he is going to go back to what the original plan was, which is to develop that in a retail commercial front on the front of the building, and to do some additional housing using our study that we did a couple years ago through the MEDC. And I'm optimistic that Jerry Shepard, who is the owner of that property, will proceed with some type of something as soon as we get through the COVID-19 issue. Trenton Forging, I've stayed in touch, as the mayor has stayed in touch with them, and we're optimistic that something will happen there. They're looking to expand to a second shift. There are some issues with the timing and what time they shut down because of the noise, but there's also an issue on property, and I believe that Mr. Hogan and I have come up with a compromise that might save them and make it viable, and so we're just waiting. Again, I'm sure we're waiting on the COVID-19. They haven't called me lately. Have they called you, Mayor, lately?
No, we had set up
Kelsey,
a couple meeting dates, but
Yeah.
they're still not allowing anyone
Yeah.
from the public
Yeah.
into their facility, so.
And they do defense work besides, so high security there. I was really impressed with their security with what's going on. The quad, that is a major problem. My last conversation was them with verbally, but I did finally receive a communication from them. As you know, we had a Brownfield meeting recently to discuss that issue. And since then, we did talk to Eagle, Mr. Church, myself, And John Giordano, I'm not sure if Mr. Hogan was on that conversation, but we did discuss their grant that they have, which is for $260,000 for a vapor mitigation system there. And it's important because if we don't get this, I don't think the property is saleable. And Ego was gracious enough, after listening to Mr. Church and Mr. Hogan and myself. Michelle Bacon has faith in this community. I've developed a great relationship with her over the years because of the DCC. And they've given us some additional time to hold that grant and hopefully get things going, even though they're aware of what the problems are. And I did reach out after that last week and did get a response for them. So I'm hoping to meet with them face to face and then get with the other attorney so that we can get something moving with this. They lost their funding when the bank that they were dealing with got bought out and went out of the SBA business, and so we're working on that right now to try to get that resolved. Questions on that page?
Yeah. So I guess the first question I'd have actually, Jim, is so related to the quad project. Is the issue that we're facing there similar to the issue at West and West Jefferson?
No. Well, I mean, environmentally?
Environmentally.
Yeah, yes, because you add that to the, if they were responsible for the cost to do that, as well as purchasing the building, it would become, I don't think they could get financing, because we're starting out at 260. When we started out at West and West Jefferson, we started out at 190 or 200,000, and it went up to 596. So, yeah, I think that's imperative that for them to get through this, to have this grant and get this thing done. Otherwise, the environmental will kill them, and they can't afford buying the building and having to clean it up and meet the state standards by themselves.
Was there a gas station there previously?
Yes, there was. It's right outside in the parking lot that they purchased just outside, north side of their building, south side of Mann's building, in that parking lot there. Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes, sir.
So we'll go to questions here. Councilman Perugi?
Yes. Is this, the quad, is that the interested owners? Are they trying to put in a roller rink there?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
They are, Councilman.
If you believe that, yeah.
And they still have the business plan. They still indicated as of last Friday that they're interested in developing the site and working with us and obtaining the grant. So, yes.
All right. Thank you.
Councilman LaFever?
I thought it was my understanding that they couldn't obtain a loan anywhere, nobody will give them any money.
Who's this?
Is that on the quad, they try to get the loans from banks, nobody was interested in giving them any money, is that true or not true?
They had a loan, an SBA loan, and the bank that they had was purchased and did not participate in the SBA program, and so therefore they had to go looking for a new SBA loan, and of course with COVID coming up, they weren't able to proceed.
Did they buy the parking lot across the street?
They did not. They have a lease agreement. They haven't bought the property.
Yeah.
The property has not transferred ownership from the current owner to the quad people.
This is nothing against you, but it seems like everybody come down to Brownsville has a great story. Nobody follows up on it, okay? They had a great story down there, they were going to be open here, and free passes for the first night of roller derby and this kind of deal, and nothing's moved at all.
I think we're 0 for 7 on brownfields.
Yeah, I don't,
Okay. Yeah.
And getting back to that, if I could back to the Fort and King site, and I forgot, he agreed to pay that money back, but it wasn't really funny in loan terms, like 1% over 300 years or something like that?
Not 300 years, it was 1% over 17 years, and normally on revolving fund loans, the APA it's been loaned out 3 times and coming
Right.
back to the city. I don't think any of us here were around for that particular thing. I don't know if you were on the council or you were on the council then.
Timber was.
But, okay, Timber was, okay. But I can't tell you why they got the loan for 17 years. Normally, it's paid off within 15 to 16 years, and it's then the city's money. And that's why it's important for us to resolve it. And I give Anthony and Alan a great pat on the back for getting it done finally. But at this time, right now, this money should be ours, and it should have been loaned out twice two times over and coming back to us to do development, which, in my opinion, we could be doing the parking and acquiring some property to replace that and fixing the parking that we talked about briefly. But the important thing is we got it resolved.
Right.
And we're going to get our money, thanks to the city attorneys, and I applaud them for getting it done. We could have been holding our hand out and not getting anything. And that's why it's important for us to get the property developed and sold so that he can take an offer so that we can get all our money back quickly, and then loan it out a second time to somebody and get it back, and then a third time, and then the fourth time it becomes our money to use on some project that we need to do, whether it's a parking lots or anything like that.
Any other questions for this page? All right. We'll go on to the next one.
Number 12 is Custom Golf, and I believe a deal has been struck by the owner of that property. It's not going to be a sports bar. Apparently he's, I'm not privy to this, but I heard this on the streets, okay? Last time I met with him 2 or 3 weeks ago, he said he'd let me know, but I'm told that it is going to be a retail operation and that he has struck a deal, and at least it's going to be occupied there. And let me say, somebody else also came because of this deal for one of the vacant bridal suites last week, and I met with them, and they're looking at, because they heard about this, and they're looking at one of the sites 2 doors from them, no, that way. 3 doors for that way on St. Joseph's to put in another retail store, which is a specialty store, which would draw people.
Great.
Huron Valley Fritz's just brought them up to date on what the rezoning they were requiring, and they have really nothing going there now. Business is somewhat with the COVID. FTI, I just want to let you know that they continue to improve the site and expand, and that's Fuel Transportation Incorporated, and that's part of the people that have Mobile and Exxon and Esso in the area. I think they own 160 gas stations in southeast Michigan, and they supply it, but their refinery is in Trenton, and they come down Sibley Road. They are concerned about the railroad tracks and getting stuck on there. Apparently they had one vehicle get stuck there. Unfortunately, there was no train coming, and the tracks
like
are
stuck on the tracks, not
Yes.
stuck by a train.
Yeah, stuck. Yeah, so it was a problem. For Telos, yes, we finally have a developer that talked to me, and I referred them to not only Fratello's property, but to the gas station across the street and to another location at Harrison. And it is, I don't have an NDA on it, so the name of the firm is Select Franchises, so I believe it's probably some type of fast food or something in that area. And they are looking at the site. They brought one person down about 3 weeks ago, and so they're interested in the Trenton area. And I'm hopeful that we can develop something there, especially the gas station, the Citgo station would like to move on, and Fratello's has been sitting there for a number of years. Empty, so prefer it to be a restaurant, but it's restaurant business is very difficult at this particular time. And Mr. Concessi, and Mr. Concessi are making much money in their business in Taylor, so this is not a priority. Okay, the Fort and Van Horn condos, Mark Strauss, I'm a little disappointed. Virgil and I found out that that's shut down again, and we're trying to get a hold of Mark Strauss to see what we can do there to get it going. But they do have 1, 2, 3 other buildings that they're working on, and they did complete 2, so they are making progress, okay? Slowly but surely, and as you know before, there were some personal problems and financial problems there that took place. The Janowski project, I'm still waiting for a meeting with ITC for their property on Jefferson, and this is a project brought to us by Mr. Harrington, and it is to make modular housing and ship it out to wherever they're going to build it. they're going to build them there and ship them out to wherever the site is, the modular home is going to go. And I'm still waiting for that. I'm trying to meet with Michael from ITC so that we can get together, because they do own substantial vacant property in the city. ITC, I'm saying. The Van Horn Railroad, Mr. Harrington and I have had considerable conversations about that. I sent him some information and some work that I did. Between King Road and Van Horn, there is approximately 3.3 miles. There is no reason why the Fort and Van Horn crossing should be blocked. With the 3.3 miles, they could block Harrison, but that would be the only blockage we would have. And I don't think I would be unhappy with that, okay? The trains currently are 7,200 feet long. They're anticipating they expand in the near future to 10,000 feet long, which is basically 2 miles. So we need, and I'm sure right now some of them are probably 2 miles, okay? But I believe there's a way, logistics-wise, that they can prohibit or at least cut back some of the blockages there and go in. And so I shared with Mr. Harrington and myself that I'm drafting a letter that Mr. Church got from the people in Washington, and I'm sharing my proposal to them, and hopefully we'll get a local meeting that we can do something to help alleviate, at least let the people know what the delay will be and what's going on there, and hopefully make them stop short of the crossing so they don't block Fort and Van Horn. Eastman Chemicals, I've had considerable conversation with them. Actually, I put them in together with somebody that was willing to build a steam process for them. Prior to this, they're announcing this, Brian Bigler from Wayne County had a vendor from Ontario that supplies Myers, Thrifty Acres, Whole Foods, and Costco vegetables. And they were open to selling the property, or releasing the property, the 88 acres on the riverside, south of DTE and north of the International Wildlife, to these people. And they would build a steam generation plant that they would share the cost of, because that's really imperative to their operation. Unfortunately, Mr. Bigler was furloughed by the county, and COVID prevented the people from Ontario coming over here to look at it. And with COVID, I believe the demand for their product at Eastman dwindled. It's one of their smaller plants. However, last week, I received a phone call from an equity firm, and they represent a chemical company out of Texas that makes the same product, that is interested in securing the site from Eastman so that they can manufacture the same thing they're manufacturing currently today. And we've just begun preliminary conversations with them. I sent them some background about the community. And so I would probably say it would be difficult for Eastman to sell the property if they are making the product elsewhere, because they don't want competition to flourish. But if they're not, and maybe in the best interest of the community, they might be willing for us to move with these equity people and get the site sold, and then I can reacquaint myself with the people, and once COVID gets away and gets in check with the people in Canada, and we can get a greenhouse that produces 25-foot tomato plants, which I've never saw a tomato plant. I couldn't grow it. I'm lucky I could grow a 6-inch plant or 12-inch tomato plant, and it picks it all robotically. And this was a good thing. We had Michigan State University participating with us, and we even got Smart to consider extending if we needed transportation. We discussed the International Wildlife and the site with them for extending their route in Trenton, which they agreed to. So that's where we're at there with Eastman Chemical. So 12 through 19, if you have any questions.
Anyone have any questions here?
Yeah.
Councilman's favor then.
Jim, on number
Councilman
12, custom golf. You know, we did an awful lot of work for those people. We about securing the parking lot for them, helping them with a liquor license. Okay. Is there any chance we can get that parking lot back to the city usage?
You paid for it.
I don't think so. He bought
Bought it.
it. We gave him a sweetheart deal on it. How much did he pay for that block of that, whatever it is? Remember?
It was very little, okay.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Okay, if
They
that's what
bought
you're
it
trying
with-
to say.
bought it for-
And it was on the premise
cars
of
in to
that.
begin with.
Can we get the property back? I very much doubt it, so I'd rather be forthright and say I very much doubt it. I still do believe he's going to attempt to somewhat develop that vacant lot into something, okay? Maybe he
Like
might build
$4
one.
grand or $8 grand?
I wouldn't be able to say yes or no, but it was a very insignificant number, okay?
Okay, yeah.
8 grand or 9 grand, I think, is on the corner,
Yeah.
okay? I think it was less than
I'm just
that.
saying.
It
if
was
he-
4.
It was less than that. It was very, very reasonable. Let's
Right.
put it this way, okay? Yeah.
Just saying, for us to acquire more parking downtown, which I really need, would cost us way more than $4 grand for a piece of property like that.
I think the property we just took on foreclosure cost us more than 4 grand by Save-On across from the fire station, yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he'd be willing to do it. I don't know.
Always in the course of negotiations, I think the counselors will agree, you can sometimes accomplish things. I call by what I call quid pro quo. Okay, I probably say that too much, but you never know what he wants. Okay, because I'm going to go to him at 20 because M&M Camping, we're working with him with the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, and I believe he is in conversations, if not already purchasing the site for development.
Okay. And the other one, number 19, just the name scares me, okay?
Eastman Chemical?
Yeah, I mean, you know, they're going to do different things down there with chemicals, right?
Their product is a resin, which they make for windshields.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank
Yeah.
you.
And then on the other side of the street, we're talking greenhouse right now, but I made
Talking.
I made that clear when I talked to the equity firm that it may be difficult for them to have any production on the other side of the street. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. That we were considering a change.
Say your last one, Councilman.
That's it.
Councilwoman Pitt.
Yeah, so I just wanted to add, for number 12, I believe it's public knowledge because she posted it on Facebook, but the business that is currently next to Scoopy's called All About Grace. This was also a business that was going to partner somewhat with our Trail Town initiative. She's been hosting vendor events and so forth, and she is the one that is moving into the area at Custom Golf. She said she had some ideas for the parking lot, so apparently she herself would probably be expanding into the parking lot for her retail business. And then she's actually going to keep the location at Scoopy's, behind Scoopy's there, which was the Trenton Ice Cream Shop.
Right.
She is going to do like classes in that building, so she'll have her retail shop on Jefferson, and then she's going to do craft classes at the, I think it's Rosewood, thank you, location. And then, Jim, you and I spoke a long time ago about number 19, Eastman Chemical, and the greenhouse idea. And the problem I have with that is that, again, it's waterfront property. But I don't mind that there's vegetables growing there necessarily, but just that we are a food desert in the city of Trenton, and you had mentioned at the time that they didn't see this as being something that residents could go and shop for vegetables. And if it's going to be that, I just would prefer that they would be open to the idea of having some kind of storefront that, you know, people could interact and buy some fresh goods there perhaps. And
I think the deal is essentially in the dumper.
okay, yeah,
Okay.
okay.
And it was
Yeah, I wasn't
wholesale. It was high tech, robotics that were doing the picking, and we might have been able to get a store, but basically they supplied Meijer's, Whole Foods, and Costco in the area, and the reason why it didn't impact any of the ground because they wouldn't be digging any foundations, and there is a agreement with the MDEQ on Eastman on what goes on that site, and also understand that I'm working under the current zoning requirements, not the ones that are being considered.
Thank you.
Okay.
Got it. I think that's it. I'm not certain, I don't know that I know anything about number 17, the Janoski project, so are you
Janoski
saying
Project is a firm out of Lansing that builds modular homes.
Oh, okay.
And they would employ about 175 people and build modular homes that they would ship to Higgins Lake. If Trenton had a modular home, subdivision, yes, and that's what it was.
Okay.
And they're looking for a site. They did a recent project, a residential project in Ecorse, where they built housing, okay? And it's a development firm that does all kinds of projects between high-rise to low income to whatever it may be.
And they do not have a location yet?
They do not have a location.
Okay.
They're still,
Got it.
we're in that, yes. To my knowledge, they don't have a location as I speak here.
Okay. All right, I'm all set.
Good. Anyone else? All right, we'll carry on here.
Okay.
We'll just have you go through the last grouping.
Last group. I'll go through right through to 25 and I'll do to both pages if that's okay with you, Mayor.
Absolutely.
Okay, I brought M&M Camping. And Beaumont Hospital, I've had conversations with their government relations person, and I've had conversations with Mr. Harrington. A lot of rumors and innuendo, and I believe the mayor and Mr. Church had a conversation with Mr. Fox on virtual about the viability of the hospitals in the downriver area. Congresswoman Dingell brought it to my attention also, and it's my understanding that there was an offer to purchase the Beaumont property by some physicians a few months ago. Beaumont was not interested, and as of tomorrow, 2 weeks ago tomorrow, Mr. Fox came down and personally met with some members, a select member of the physician group, and reassured them of their commitment to the hospital. I'll just say it that way, and it's very optimistic that they're concerned about the sites, which is South Shore Heritage and Annapolis Hospital being in the area, and they're concerned about the viability. The competition is to the south, which is ProMedica, which will cut for our facility, South Shore, about 7 miles, cut it in half. It's 14 miles, and so South Shore will we'll lose some of the patients that it gets from South Rockwood and Frenchtown and that area. And so competition is very keen in the hospital field, and everybody's losing money because of COVID-19, as I'm sure a few of you people that are familiar with Beaumont and the medical thing. So I'm optimistic that at least we have Mr. Fox's attention and the people at Beaumont that we want this hospital. We will do what is necessary to keep it and keep it a viable entity of the Beaumont chain. The livery taxi lady, she, because of the time frame and COVID and what was going on, she passed on this year. My last conversation with her was that she should get with Scott and myself in November because of bureaucracy, so she could be ready for spring, and hopefully that COVID would be behind us and that she would be bringing it in, and I'm very optimistic that that's going to happen. There's a mistake here, but anyway, Trail Town, I'm working with Mrs. Gagne, and I've had several meetings, and in fact, Mr. Tellerico and myself and Mrs. Gagne are having lunch on Wednesday to discuss Trail Town, and as it relates to number 24, which is the fact that we're working with Michigan State University on a practicum. That's the final year before you graduate, where 2 or 3 or 4 students come down and work with us, and we're trying to tie in Trail Town, the Iron Bell, the International Wildlife with our downtown, and coordinate with what's going on and explore avenues from some fresh ideas of how to develop and get the buildings filled that are vacant. And so we're hopeful. We had a telephone conversation with the professor, the doctor that runs the department last week or the week before, and I think that shows that our forwardness, that we were interested in it. And also there happens to be a student from Trenton that's in this graduating class and has to take this, so it would be beneficial. So we are working to put a submission into them in the next couple of weeks, and we have gotten some samples from what has been funded before, and we're hopeful that we'll be able to do this and get some fresh ideas about the downtown and the Iron Trail, Trail Town, and the International Wildlife. West Road project, I received a call about a month and a half ago from a developer, and similar to what Mr. DeSanto did on Manning and West Road, this gentleman is looking at some properties that are on West Road. I have an NDA with him. I can't disclose it, but he is interested in doing a project similar to what Mr. DeSanto did on property on West Road, which will be an addition to it. And he was very impressed with our community, and I'm optimistic as we move forward that this is going to go. He has to acquire some properties to do what he wants to do, but he has the wherewithal and the interest in our community to do so. So I'm interested. I think that that'll go. I have been working with the Trenton Business Association and trying to get the DDA and the TBA to work together, and I think we're making some progress there. I thank you to the mayor. Last week, he participated in the meeting, and I think you will see some interest and hopefully some very serious interest between the TBA and the DDA membership to be involved in our downtown community and to see that it gets revitalized and encompass Trail Town, Iron Bell, and these other things, the International Wildlife. There are people that want to locate here. We have to start saying that this is a great town. We have a lot of negativity. I'm trying to change it to positivity. I'm talking to the MEDC. Part of that is completing our redevelopment ready community project, which is not on here, but I do have it, and I had a long conversation with Elizabeth King last week, and there's some information that I have to put on the website and update some information, and I've read it twice over the weekend, and the projections and what we're supposed to be doing, we're doing some of that, but we're not doing a lot of it, and that's part of a redevelopment ready community, so I'm going to try to tie that in with Benjamin and the Planning Commission so that we can get this completed and be a redevelopment ready community that allows us access to some more money from the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. Even though their allotment from the budget has been reduced, it is networking and it is knocking on their door, that they get tired of hearing from you knocking on the door, that they give you money to go away. And I think there's people, if I can knock on the door enough times, there will be people to knock me away and send me away with money. The parking thing is, again, something I did not put on here that has to be addressed when you have time for a study session after we find out. I know you have more important things to do and get the thing done, but I believe we can acquire some property. I think we can get the money to acquire the property through community development block grant funds. I've talked to the people at Savon. I've talked to Chris Hancock about his property and parking. But first and foremost, Ben and I think the mayor, when we talked at the economic development meeting, we talked, is there really a parking issue? But for us to get the money for the CBDG, we're going to have to do some type of study and to document the need for us to get this money. If in fact that's what the mayor and the city council want to do with the money of CBDG, every 4 years we have to get some money from them. And I think we've gone 2 years, and I would like to submit something by the end of this year if you are supportive of that. So we can probably be shot down this year, but then next year know that we get the money for development and put it downtown as we have money short with the DDA. But I think making a viable downtown, we're losing the Metro Shores is going on West Road, and that's another draw to the downtown. We need to spend some money to do and comply with the grant that the DDA agreement that we have with the state of Michigan when we did the DDA. There are some things in there that we have not complied with, and so I'm reading that. I will discuss that with Mr. Tellerico, and I will discuss that further with the mayor when we have economic development meetings, but that's basically where I'm at right now. I think I covered most of what I'm doing, and it's networking, and I understand, as this morning Scott was on a conference call, that redevelopment is essential to this community's future. And there's a lot of vacant property, and I'm confident we can be successful once we find out which direction we're going. And I appreciate your support. I appreciate your interest, and I thank you for hearing me out this evening.
Well, thank you very much, Jim. I very much appreciate the update. Yeah, no, I'm going to do questions in a second. I just wanted to say, I wanted to say thank you to Jim for doing all this. It's one of those things, right, where I not only you, but I'm sure everyone else here too always gets asked, oh, what's going on with XYZ? So I think doing these things intermittently is very important so that we all stay abreast of everything. And there's certainly no shortage of things too. So we'll go to questions for this portion of it here too. Councilman LaFever.
You've done a great job, no question about that, okay? Let me just throw a couple of things out there a la Bill LaFever, okay? So the ideas are always wild and crazy, but sometimes there's a little bit of validity to them, okay? And for years, we've been talking about a new fire station, okay? For years, a police station, right? How many years ago was that, 10 or 15?
At least.
Yeah, we talked about that, okay? And in my opinion, just my opinion, the city's in a dire need for it. At the same time, we're going to be developing that block down there, okay? It would seem to me as a possibility that we do that a whole two-block property there and make a big project there, okay? If we owned it, took the...
I'm sure there would be people interested. There were before.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you take an M&M camping,
Yes.
it's a big piece of property there, okay? And you got Riverside Pharmacy. Keith would be very willing to participate, okay?
Sure.
You got the fire station, and you have Skip Howie's building. He told me he'd be very willing to participate in it, okay? So if we have that type of commitment from people, why don't we at least look into it, doing something like that, and put a big, only way downtown is going to build up is have more people. You put any business you want with no bodies there is not going to survive. Not going to survive.
And we did a study about that, and actually the housing that we have coming in the area is going to increase the rental property income by about $300. Currently, the average rental property downtown Trenton is about $525. We're anticipating that with the project on St. Joseph Street that we sold to a resident that has, and the project that Mr. McNally is contemplating and Mr. Shepherd is contemplating, hopefully for animal crackers, will raise the rates up substantially. Currently in the area, the rental rates are about $525, which is very low, and we'll raise them up, and it could be even higher. And that's what we need, walkability. We need people, and that's why it's so important to us to gear the people to the parking availability, and perception has become, when we had the meeting with the business people, they felt that there was a parking problem. Let me say, that's a great problem to have, okay? Right. And I had the same complaint in Wyandotte, but I found out that it was the employees that were parking in front that causing the parking problem, okay? we did remove 200 parking spaces when we did the project on Riverside, okay? So we need to improve some. The project that I have in mind would be with Savon and Mr. Hancock and the other parcel that's in there would probably add 100 parking spaces to downtown, if in fact we need them. And that would put parking at St. Joe, at Elm Street by St. Joe's in the Methodist Church, the next block on St. Joe, the next block on West Road, and the next block on Maple. So that would make it easy. People always tell me that's too far to walk, but when you go out to Southland Shopping Center or any shopping center, you still walk 500 yards to get in the building sometimes, and you say that's nothing. We're not asking them to walk that far just on special occasions, and its perception becomes reality in the head, and we have to put that perception behind us. That's why it's important for me to get the TBA and the DDA and the merchants all on the same page, working together with you and me to make the downtown a place to be. We have, how do I say, a lot of the business properties are owned by older families that have made substantial income from them and really don't have an interest. So we don't really have any greedy landowners right now, okay, which would be interested in doing some of these things. And so we need to find a couple of greedy people that want to locate in downtown Trenton and buy buildings so that they can make money, because money will begot other money, and although their taxes may go up, but their income will go up. And we think bringing people downtown is vital to what's going on between the Trail Town, the Iron Bell, the international wildlife, and just in general. You have Elliott's, you have the Framery. If we can get 8 to 10 of those types of people core, and then get a few sports bars, because we don't have many liquor licenses available, but if we can get medical and get Beaumont to continue to invest in downtown and other people, I believe we have a vital and viable downtown. And I'm concerned in the future too about the post office, Councilman LaFever. When that contract runs out, because of the size of our community, we could end up like Wyandotte, where they move it out.
Right.
And so it's important to be proactive in bringing people down here. But getting back to a community building, there are other options that are available through the state, bonding through. We have, I think next year the ice rink comes off, okay? But again, you have to be concerned and about what happens at DTE and with Eastman, what it is. And so there are concerns about where we can raise money and where we can bond money. I am, as a government person and a bureaucrat, and your I am disappointed in the DDA, where it's located, in the boundaries that it has. It does not bring in the income that I believe is responsible for. It's in the low to moderate income census tracts, and that's very difficult for it to grow. And I don't know why it ended up there. I wasn't here then, but that's not whatever it is. When you consider, and I know it's 1.5 mils, but it does create, the DDA does create business for other businesses and maintains them in communities such as Wyandotte, and out communities like Grand Haven and Charlevoix and stuff like that. They're very successful, okay? Our problem is maybe because we only draw from 180 degrees, but I still believe drawing from 180 degrees and our square footage costs are less than half of what they are at West Road and Allen Road, that we can get a number of businesses to locate in here and be successful downtown.
Jim, in closing,
I said I was going to be here 15 minutes. I was told to be.
I'm going to ask you a question. You can answer or not answer. I don't want to push you, okay? With the developer of M&M Camping, is he looking into buying more property there that you know of, or is he just content with just that little piece of property?
I don't know what you mean by the question.
Well, is the developer of M&M Camping, is he looking to acquire more property, like Riverside Pharmacy?
I have not discussed that with him. I've only discussed him what the guidelines would be for him to get additional funding or some assistance from the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, and that it would be a brownfield site, and we have to be, I did specifically ask him if he was going to acquire the Dairy Queen, and the answer was no.
He said what?
The answer was no at that particular time. That was 2 weeks ago.
The Dairy Queen or Custard Corner?
Custard Corner, whatever it is.
He's gonna have to
Dairy
have
Queen.
that,
I'm
but I
sorry.
wouldn't say publicly you want it either.
It's same thing, yeah, the ice cream place, okay? Yeah.
He'll have to have that.
Huh?
He'll have to have that, but he wouldn't want to say it publicly that I want that, okay?
Well, I'm sure, but we haven't got into, I've got him materials that he needs. I'm not privy to all what he intends to do, other than the fact.
And as far as
additional
Beaumont
fund-
Hospital goes, I know a lot of doctors, they are not happy there.
I think there might be a little bit happier, the fact that Mr. Fox did come personally and address them and meet with them. Like in everything in the medical, and I believe 1, 2, 3 people here have people that know in the medical field, and okay, it's a very difficult entity right now with the COVID-19, and financially everybody's grabbing, unless you're a Mayo Clinic, Cleveland Clinic, and maybe Henry Ford because of the foundations that they have, or U of M, but they all have financial issues, especially the non-for-profit like Ascension, Trinity. They all have issues. And I give Mr. Fox that he's being proactive finally to get into the area and make him known to the people in the area. So I do give him credit. It's a step in the right direction. But I am concerned of the future of the site with ProMedica building in Monroe.
You think there's no problem? No, that's not what I said.
Am I?
Done.
Do you have anything else, Councilman?
Did the pizzeria change hands recently on Van Horn there?
I couldn't tell you that, sir.
You already know that.
I don't eat pizza.
You already know that, so why are you asking?
I don't know if he heard it or not. Did he buy it?
Yeah.
What pizzeria?
The Grotto?
Grotto?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What happened to that?
Hands.
I don't, did he buy it?
To my knowledge, it's been sold.
Has been sold?
Oh.
Rob Sawyer is the new owner.
He bought, the pizzeria on Van
Grotto.
Grotto.
Yeah,
Not
Rob.
the Grotto, yes.
Right,
Yeah,
he Rob
yeah,
Sawyer.
Yeah, I thought he said Van Horn, or, I'm sorry. If you would have been more specific, I would have known that, yes. I apologize. I did know
say
that.
Van Horn.
Did anyone have any last questions or anything for Jim?
No, thanks, Jim.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Jim.
Appreciate your
Nice
time.
job.
Appreciate your support. Thank
job.
you so much.
Thank you.
Great job. Steve, you feel confident that he bought that, or he's working there on a land lease?
Oh, I don't know what the stipulation is. I know I'm not sure if there's been an actual sale of the property or sale of the business or what the.
He did buy it, or just working there for
Should we shut the door? We're gonna have a closed session.
Yeah, we'll do in a second. We gotta do the.
We have other items to discuss in public
You know, Rob,
as well.
I don't
Yes,
know.
that's
I guess Scott's got a couple other things.
yes. Just to give you a heads up on some agenda items that'll be on our next agenda, and also to try to get some guidance from council leading into those items. One is an update for you on the first responder hazard pay premiums program grant that the city applied for. It's our understanding that the state will be notifying the grant recipient communities hopefully this week of any grants that are awarded or what those amounts are. But one of the requirements is that the cities or the recipient communities need to adopt a policy and have approved by the mayors and councils and their employee groups prior to issuance at the end of the month. So please expect an agenda item. They'll be coming from our Human Resources Director next Monday night. That's something he's already been preparing, and we'll be working with Mr. Bologna from the City Attorney's Office, trying to formalize the language, and then meeting with our employee groups in the event we do get awarded the funding. We need to have those policies in place. So I wanted to give you a heads up on that. We had an issue that was raised by, or a question raised by our controller about the recent approval to purchase trucks for the trash trucks, that the motion wasn't terribly specific on the financing. As far as what authority or what the financing was going to be. Is that something, was it the desire of the council? Were you authorizing the controller to use her judgment and authorizing her to exercise, or is that something you want brought back for formal approval with her recommendation, comparing what the financing available was from the, whether it was the company's manufacturing or what independent financing was?
I'd like you to bring it back.
Yeah, I've got it
You
here.
know, and we finalize it all together.
Karen is on here, by the way, now.
Yeah.
Can I clarify my question?
Yes.
Do.
I'm kind of looking for a term. I could not hear when we did the last meeting, so I wasn't sure if they decided that they wanted it to be financed for 5 years, 3 years, 7 years. I didn't hear.
We need to look at the options.
Yeah, I think that, sorry, I had a sneeze stuck for a second, and I didn't want to sneeze there. But I just, unless anyone has any objections, I think that we should get the options.
Yes,
I want to see the
Yes.
information.
I do.
Yeah.
Okay. So just those three options, three different terms?
Yep, absolutely. Whatever, yeah,
Okay.
the three that are most viable there.
Thank you.
We would only be financing the balance because there is some money that was appropriated, but then it doesn't cover both trucks. So would we only be financing the leftover from what was in the budget?
Did you happen to hear that, Karen?
I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
I turned off YouTube so that I
okay.
could respond.
Does-
I know
Does
what
that
your
make
question
sense?
is. I'll work with Karen
Okay.
regarding, for
We
preparation
don't want
on
to
the
borrow more
agenda
money
item.
than necessary. I don't want to
Sure.
borrow any more money.
Stephen, do you want me to just come to the podium so I can hear them?
I think Scott's
Have
got it.
That's
Yes.
fine.
We'll figure it,
Yeah,
yeah.
so the bottom line to the controller is, I think the sentiment is they do not want to borrow any more money than we have to. So if anything is budgeted, if it's financing for future years beyond that, but whatever's budgeted, and don't borrow or
Right.
not looking to stretch out smaller payments with higher interest rate in a longer term. Is that correct?
Right.
I'll just state that I'm against that. We're putting our money in the bank at 0.75% and borrowing at 3%. That's stupid. That's my own opinion, okay? So let's,
So,
can you
yes.
bring back all the information, what we're earning on our money and what the interest rate's going to be on the money we borrow, right?
Right.
Councilman LaFever just wants just clarification whenever that time comes on what the interest rate will be versus what we're getting in the bank now. And then just various, yes, I know. Yep. But yeah, that just coupled with, running it, comparing things to what we had budgeted already versus, what we can do to make sure that we have to, finance the least amount.
Bottom line, that will be an agenda item that Karen will prepare for council's consideration at our next meeting.
And I
For
won't be
formal
there.
approval.
Remember, I won't be at that meeting.
Okay. We'll make sure that we can talk
Let
beforehand
me know
too.
for no vote, okay, Scott? I won't be
Okay.
there.
Oh yeah, this is still an open meeting. Yeah.
Well, if you can't be here and Scott is not voting, then
In the same conundrum you had before?
will we have a quorum on
Would be a
that, or like
study
all of us
session
vote?
anyway.
I guess that,
No, if you're
2,
revoting.
4, 5. If we all vote for it, it'll pass.
Yeah, I
It'd
mean, we just got to make sure our ducks are in a row
Five of
beforehand.
us.
We'll make sure the information's to you beforehand too, so that it's nothing crazy.
I guess a fair question, with all due respect to Councilman Cabawatten's position, but once something's been approved that we are purchasing something, to vote on what the terms are
That's different.
is,
I don't agree with you, Timber. I don't agree with you on that, no. I don't.
Okay.
Because.
Whatever you say, I don't
Well,
It's
care.
more a personal issue if he doesn't feel comfortable voting.
And that's-
right.
Yeah, I
I don't
don't mind
care.
about
Yeah.
that. I just want to make sure that we have
Right.
enough votes to,
Can I explain where I'm
You
coming
don't
from?
have to.
Yeah, please do, Scott, yeah.
Mayor?
Yeah, no,
Okay,
please do, yeah,
so-
please do, yeah.
If we're talking about this, because of my relationship with my company and what I do, we're still dealing with financial impacts. Bill, and you brought up a great point. You know, you're talking about financing terms, whether it's 36 months, whether it's 84 months or whatnot. That's still impacts the solid waste system. And so that's where I feel that's not proper for me to vote on that, because later on down the road, I don't want my name tied to, not that I don't want my name tied to, but
Implied.
I don't want my influence proactively or adversely impacting the system either which way because of what I do. Does that, and if somebody disagrees with me, please, let me know, and I'm happy to entertain a different angle on that.
So unless anyone has anything else, we'll just work, we'll have Karen get some numbers, make sure everyone's got the information beforehand. Hopefully next meeting, worst case scenario, if it's got to be the one after, then so be it.
Yeah, no,
Yep.
I thought you were on it.
okay.
Moving along.
Very good. Other items, we are having some preliminary discussions with our police administration and school administration on revisions to the school resource officer or the police liaison assignment, and reinstating that. As you may recall, that expired at the end of June. So just wanted to give you a heads up. We are having some discussions. I don't know when we're going to have something in final form to bring for you for your formal consideration. Again, that is something that was budgeted, and we're looking, not, from my own standpoint, I'll say that from my seat, I'm not looking at anything that has any greater cost to the city of Trenton than what we were previously paying.
Do they want us in there?
Are they in school?
Yes, they have, well, and that, Councilwoman Vaughn Crooks, that is one of the questions, is there a suspension provision that if school isn't in session,
The high school's not.
in speaking with the controller today, she and I shared a concern that I understand the school's position. It's also very hard and challenging for us from a budget and a staffing, that things totally out of our control of not knowing if they're not in session or if they elect to not have somebody. We haven't budgeted to carry an additional officer. I certainly don't anticipate,
Right.
I have no interest in laying anybody off.
Right.
Because of an action of someone else. So those are some things. I have no indication that the discussions are even going to go down that path, but those are some safeguards I would like to make sure are included, that this has to be something that's beneficial for both parties.
Right, exactly.
Scott, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Go ahead, Councilman.
Did the school budget for our police officer?
That
or
is
did
my
the-
understanding.
Did we budget that? No.
Yes and yes. I
We have like a dual-
believe both the schools and the city did, unless Karen corrects me, but I believe the police budget does reflect the assignment of the school resource officer.
Correct. That is true.
Yep, she's nodding. Did you have anything else, Councilwoman?
No, that's all, thank you.
Councilman LaFever?
Scott, would it be possible if you could give me a list, or you or Karen or John, of the people, if there are any city employees still being paid that aren't working?
I am not aware of any employees who are being paid that are not working.
Okay.
I mean, unless they're off on an approved leave. I mean,
No, I understand, but
if
just-
somebody's off
If somebody
on
has been called
sick-
back, or even though they weren't laid off, is not working full-time, we're still paying them full-time.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Is there anybody, one person, two, or 50, that's still being paid like they were back in March and not working?
Unless Karen is aware of it, I am not aware of anyone that is not being paid, that is being paid, that is not working.
Karen, do you
Unless
agree with that?
Unless that is somebody, again, if somebody is off on workers' comp, or if they're off on a sick leave, something totally unrelated to COVID, or if it's under an approved COVID leave. But I don't believe there's
Can Karen hear
anybody.
us? Can she hear us?
Could you hear that question, Karen?
Yes, Bill, I'm agreeing with Scott. I don't know that type of thing. I see the payroll, but I don't see payroll timesheets. Who's off on there are COVID people. Like if you've been exposed, you have to stay home. Like Scott said, we have people off on workers' comp. I don't know their names. You know what I mean? I just know that that's the way it is.
I guess if your question is, are we, we don't have staggered platoons or.
Let's just forget it. I'm going to
Yes.
ask you this question, right? Is there anybody in the recreation department who's being paid but not working full-time? Make it a little bit easier.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Karen, you agree with that?
I don't know what you're talking about, Bill.
I'm just asking if there,
Are you talking full-time employees?
yeah, I'm talking about any full-time employees in recreation that are not working, that are being paid full-time.
I was just
I don't
over there
think
the
you
other.
should talk about this.
Okay, there isn't any, right?
No.
Okay, fine, thank you. That's good enough.
So, going from there and trying to be mindful that we've got a closed session and trying to leave some gas in the tank for that. Mr. Ackerman has been working on drafting a demolition ordinance, especially with the looming, the issues we've had at Riverside Hospital. You could even argue at McLeod Steel. But then with the looming closures of DTE and potentially Eastman as well, and then some other settings where a demolition ordinance would be helpful. If you recall, back when we were dealing with Mr. Vancouvering, he had encouraged us to consider adoption of a demolition ordinance. So that is something that Mr. Ackerman has been taking the bull by the horns on, is trying to craft a demolition ordinance. And we're working with city planner, city engineer, building official, administration, trying to get something. We hope to have that for you for consideration or first reading, or at least get your thoughts in the very near future. Am I missing anything, Alan, or is that wrap it up? And that does it for the items that I had any updates on, short of what needs to be discussed in closed session following this meeting.
Cool. We'll just go around the, here,
Yeah,
I'll just
are we gonna go around the
yeah,
table?
we'll go
Okay.
around the table here. So I think I left off this time. It starts with Councilman Perucci.
I have nothing.
Councilwoman Pate.
Okay, tonight, thank you.
Councilman Cablewatten.
Zilch, nothing.
Councilwoman Von Crooks.
I just have one thing I wanted to bring up for the public, since they're, they can see it on Zoom or whatever. I've been getting a lot of calls and people stopping in, wondering, all the signs around town that say vote no on the McLeod Steel Industrial. They're all over town. I don't know who purchased them. I don't know who's in charge of it. But the residents are getting the impression that this is going to be on the ballot for them to vote on. And it's not on the ballot. Never was going to be on the ballot. And it's up to us, 7 of us, to vote for the zoning, however we see fit, whether we change it or whatever. But I just want the public to know that it's not on the ballot. And I don't know if anybody's made anybody aware of that. But people think they can go in November and vote for McLeod Steel, and there's no vote. So
Yeah, I've not gotten asked any questions about that directly, but I've heard other people that have said the same
I'm
thing.
just letting people know that that vote is strictly lies at this table, and the public is not going to have the chance to vote on this. So, just so we let people know.
No,
that
absolutely.
Those signs are misleading. Okay, that's all.
Cool. Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Benedetti.
Nope, nothing.
Councilman LaFever.
Just a couple of things. Are we putting the mum plants up? And if we are, when are they going to put those up?
Do we have you had any extra discussion with? Okay. Oh, Councilwoman Pate.
So yes, they were initially worried that if we purchased them, that they wouldn't last very long, as you had mentioned the last time, being a little concerned about the watering and the maintenance of the plant. So they're working that out with Mr. Sargent. They are going to use the same grower, I believe. They're trying to get it at wholesale, and then, so I think because it's somewhat of a late getting into the weeds of getting that done, that they are working on it. They don't have those purchased yet, but they're working on it for you. And, gosh, I had something else.
Timber, didn't you
Can't
have a
remember
system in the
offhand.
mums last time?
Well, here's the story on the flowers, and Kyle, let Bob Anderson, the group, take over, doing the flowers or whatever, and I know he went to Rulig's and got some nice, the flowers this year, and they look beautiful. Maybe taken down too soon, but they look beautiful. But anyways, the mum deal, and, I'm kind of a loyal person, and I like going to local businesses, and I like people who take care of us. And quite honestly, I'm a little disturbed about the whole deal because Patrick Hughes at Trentwood Farm Market, he gave us all those mums and everything at cost. He didn't make 1 cent, got them all ready. Our guy picked them up. We could have him deliver anything we wanted, he would have done for us, which he did do for us. So I'm a little disturbed that we didn't go back to Trentwood Farm Market, who's our local neighbor close by. He did a great job for us.
Yeah, I believe this family is also somewhat tied to Trenton. There is a relation with the Trenton Public Schools principals and Trenton
that's
High
not
School
the
and
city of
their
Trenton.
family.
Right.
Well, Trentwood isn't.
I know, but that's not the city
either.
of Trenton. And what I'm saying, Wendy, is that he was loyal to us and gave us all those flowers for all those years for nothing.
That would be something you'd have to talk with the commission about. I'm just letting you know that.
We
yeah,
did it
I will
before
let
the
them
commission
know, but-
even tried to do any of it. We already had done it. Kyle and I, and we had dealt with them. I purchased myself all the wreaths at the Cultural Center for a couple of years because I wanted Christmas wreaths up there, because I wanted to make Trenton look good. But when, the city decided to budget, we budgeted $50,000 for aesthetics. And then I told the mayor this time, I said, I want $10,000 in that budget for aesthetics for around town. But I just hate to not be loyal to Trentwood, who gave us
And I don't-
everything,
Yeah, I can let them know that, because I don't know that they've secured I guess they
Right.
didn't.
And I'm not
You didn't
saying Patrick,
specify a buyer, so I just told them, hey, because they had their meeting the very next day
Mm-hmm.
at 10:30 in the morning, and I just shot out a quick text to them and said, hey, the city approved you to buy mums.
Right.
I guess we would just have to
Yeah, they look good. And he always tells
communicate
us
with
they-
them.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He's helped us with so many projects, and everything he does it at cost for the city. And he's right on our border, right here. I don't know about Rulig Farm. Rulig's is out in Carlton,
No,
out
they,
that way. They're out on, Telegraph.
This is J&S Gardens that is it's a family-owned business. So their family, again, is a relation with the Trenton High School principal.
Well, that's still not the city of Trenton, and that's the schools, and we're a different entity. And like I said,
But they're
Patrick was
resident. Well, I guess I
so
don't know.
good to us that
I agree.
I just think
I can
loyalty
communicate
stands
to
for
them.
something.
Yeah, that's fine.
Or if you want to go to two places, I don't care.
It's up to them, really. If you
Right.
want, yeah.
But we were doing this before the City Beautiful Commission was even involved, and, they had like a few members, and they didn't have the bodies to do it, and we were doing it and taking care of, all over. So, I don't know. I'm kind of a loyal person, and I admire what Patrick did for us. So, should be a consideration, and ask him how much it's going to cost, or have me ask him. His mother-in-law works for me, and then they did it for us, to the kindness of their heart. So, I don't know. I don't care, but I just want to make sure that that's well known. That's all.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll make sure that gets relayed too.
And then see how much it costs. Cost is a factor.
Yeah, I do think they said that they would like to put a few things out at the hockey rink, since it's going to be reopening, and at the library. Kind of expand it out from the downtown a little bit as well.
Oh, yeah, I think
That
there
is-
should be stuff on West Road at the Cultural Center. Look at the Cultural Center, how beautiful it is.
Yeah.
It's a focal point of this community.
Right.
And I just think we need stuff everywhere. That's why I always want to set aside money for aesthetics, so it's beautiful when you come into our community.
Yeah, it could
That's all.
be, something to react a little fast. I know we didn't bring it up, or they didn't bring it up, because they were trying to be COVID-friendly in the budget this year and didn't have as much traffic, but, Christmas is coming, and I do remember back at the beginning of the season that they were talking about some things to do for Christmas, and they're talking about that, but I guess they might, if you have some direction for
Well,
them.
they've dropped the ball on the Christmas tree on the corner down here. I mean, that Christmas tree's pathetic. It's sad.
We don't have a
I mean,
Christmas-
it doesn't do anything. We need something downtown if we're gonna have a parade or anything. We need something
I think the
beautiful down
Cultural
there.
Commission was doing the tree, because they had asked the
That's-
City
shouldn't
Beautiful
put that thing
Commission
up.
for money.
I know, it's embarrassing. Go through all the other towns and see their stuff and then look at us.
Yeah, I believe the Civic Commission was looking for money from City Beautiful for a tree, but,
Well, we have to put up something that's
Yeah.
We gotta figure something
respectable.
out, yeah.
so just, give them some direction if
Yeah.
someone wants to.
I don't know who's
shoot
in
ideas
charge
to them.
or whose decision.
Yeah, Charlene Dattini is still the president of
Okay,
that
well,
commission, yeah.
I think the city's got to take charge and put something up there that's impressive. I mean, when you come into our downtown, I think it just needs to be some, look how beautiful Elizabeth Park was last year.
Right, yeah,
You know,
I
with
think
the
they were
entrance
talking
in and
about
then-
that, but putting something toward Elizabeth Park, but then they had to be reminded that that's county, but,
Right.
we'd have to
Well, they've
do
got their
something to
stuff.
complement it, maybe down
Sure.
Yeah, we
closer
need-
to,
yeah.
at City Hall or something.
I don't want to
so.
belabor this all night, but I just think
Yeah.
that we need to spark up the town.
Sure.
You know?
Especially for the holidays.
Yes,
I
it's
just think they
time.
need direction of what you're looking for,
Yeah,
perhaps,
yeah. I mean, we just need to do something.
Just to, the world Bill LaFever lives in, okay?
Uh-huh.
When they were taking those dead flowers down, I had the same truck, and the guy there put a mum right in that same place, cut the labor down half.
I know.
To going back again, going and put another one up, okay?
Yeah.
And it looked fine if you did it right away. Now you leave it, it's been vacant for a month almost now, it looks terrible.
I know.
You know, and to buy the mums now in December is ridiculous. They gotta be up there immediately.
December.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we need, and they're out right now. They're coming out.
They're just coming out, hopefully they'll get them up quickly.
They'll get them up, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Get them going.
And the last thing I have is is there any update on the Westfield building? I mean, the Westfield, yeah, the Westfield building, yeah.
Update.
As far as, can they use it, or be able to use the place, or what are we gonna do?
Right now, we're unfortunately still limited to 10-person gatherings. I guess, I don't know, no, should not, let's see.
Joanne and Tim are waiting for the closed session.
Yeah. they might
Okay,
be able
yes.
to- yeah.
Again, that seems a little foolish to me. You know, that they can't get some people in there. That building's
It's still
taking-
executive order driven.
Yeah,
I know,
it's-
I'm just, you know,
we'll see if they're how close by.
Nelson's had enough.
the ice rink is open.
I gotta get my minute of standing every hour.
The blood flowing.
Fitbit talking to you?
Long day.
Your knees buckle. I know.
I saw a sign at Savannah's is for sale.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, there's a sign out front.
The building, huh?
Yeah.
What's that?
Building of Savannah's.
Savannah's is
Dr.
for sale.
Rogers owns the building.
Did you have a question?
I don't know what the terms are.
If you wanna-
Oh, hello.
Podium.
Or the podium's not plugged in, though. so-
Gotta give her the
Oh,
mic,
where's the
Scott.
mic?
Just
There's a
right here, just
microphone
use
there.
this.
Oh, I didn't know it ever got plugged in.
Wonder if we had,
Using the microphone.
Yes.
we had updates from the governor as far as opening up a place like Westfield.
They bowling.
Yeah, I
think so.
Now, gyms.
Oh, never mind.
It's off now. Hold down the bottom.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Councilman LaFever just inquired if there was any update or any other directives regarding
There
the
is an
Westfield.
update? Okay.
So,
What is-
actually, we remain closed. The facility remains shuttered and will continue to remain shuttered until the governor opens up the state more. Currently, it's only 10 people can gather indoors for social gatherings. And so being under that under that provision, we are continuing to shutter the facility. And the facilities like the Westfield Center are not able to open per the state mandate.
Crazy.
So we are continuing though to starting to engage the senior population with our transportation program that starts tomorrow on a limited basis. So we are starting to do, to do that kind of thing. We've sent a newsletter to our seniors indicating, in preparation for when we will be able to open and sometime in the future. We're having them sign up for accounts on our new registration software, and indicating what programs they traditionally have participated in. So when we can reopen, we will have a way of communicating with them. So we are creating that database. So we again, it's unfortunate, but this is the times that we're in, and so that facility remains closed not only for senior activities but also for private rentals.
So crazy.
I mean, is there communication with the governor, or just listen to what she tells you? Does she take input or no?
That's kind of beyond.
Well, it's weird that bowling alleys can open, gyms can open, different
Office
things can
bars
open,
are
the
all
pool
open.
could open.
All
We
the
can't-
bars are open.
Right, we can't open up the,
That is the mandate. It's 10 people can gather indoors for social gatherings, and so under that stipulation, the facility remains shuttered.
but how does that apply to the city hall? How does that apply to a bowling alley? How does that 10 people? I mean, how does the Westfield not qualify, is what I'm saying.
Any private gathering, yeah, they're pretty clear about that one. Yeah, there's,
So explain that to me.
I wish I had a better answer.
No, I'm
Yeah,
saying
yeah.
a private gathering. It would-
Any type of a social gathering
Yeah.
is limited to 10 persons indoors, per the current executive order.
Joanne, so that's different than the ice arena, right? The ice arena is,
So we are able to open the ice
Makes no
arena
sense.
starting today, and the current executive order allows ice arenas to open, but open only for organized sports. So we are unable, not allowed to do open skating, drop-in hockey, drop-in figure skating, those kinds of drop-in programs for the general public to participate in. However, organized teams, organized activity, organized sport can be approved. Anything too, because we know who those people are. There's a way of tracking. All of those kinds of things are in place. And again, we're opening under the stipulation. All participants are doing a health screening. We know who is in our facility. They all will be mandated to wear masks, maintain that social distancing when able to.
Isn't that funny?
Any other questions about that?
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Is Tim down there putting the water down right now?
He was there till 4 o'clock this morning
Too busy
doing
to
that,
come- He's too busy to come down here. He's working too hard at the rink.
and he is here this evening as well for our closed session.
Oh, we got a mask. I can recognize who that was over there.
All righty, so if no one has anything else, we'll do, it'll open to the public. If anyone from the public is wishing to speak, I don't even know if we have anyone on here that might be. But we'll give you a second to unmute yourself on the bottom of the screen. You click participants, and then the unmute button, or raise hand button, I apologize. And then I am able to unmute you. If you have any questions, please direct them through me, the chair. Please begin by stating your name and address, and we ask that you limit comments or questions to 5 minutes. We'll give it just a second here.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, we've got the motion on the floor. Is it moved and supported? Any further discussion? And it is unanimously so ordered. So thank you all for joining us here. And
Convening in, 25 minutes?
4.
2.